Hello, and welcome to ConTinual, the never-ending convention. My name is Jean Marie Ward, and I will be your host today for this continual special event, Geek Hanukkah. With me today are 5 fabulous authors who are going to tell you all about Hanukkah and how their fandoms make that holiday season extra special. Their names are J.D. Blackrose, Laura Anne Gilman, Jody Lynn Nye, Nikki Woolfolk, and Rebecca Wynick. Now, before we get started on the subject of the panel, I'm going to ask everybody to give an introduction. And starting with you, JD.
Hi, I'm J.D. Blackrose. I write fantasy and with a little bit of romance and also with a lot of humor. My book, The Devil's Been Busy, which you can sort of see up there, features a Jewish monster hunter with 3 kids who fights monsters for the Holy Roman Catholic Church.
Okay, that's complicated. Anyway, Laura Anne.
Hi, my name is Laura Anne Gilman. I'm a editor and writer. I write historical fantasy, contemporary fantasy, romantic fantasy, dark fantasy, also mysteries and nonfiction. And I guess if we're going to talk about the Jewish influence there, I have written about Jews in a alternate history American West in the Devil's West series.
Oh, cool. Very cool. And you're a tired person as a result.
Tired person. Very tired. No, mainly tired because of the 5-month-old puppy, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jody.
Hi, I'm Jody Lynn Nye. I write science fiction and fantasy, short stories and novels, and mostly with humorous bent. I also teach workshops and edit. I'm the and associates part of Belfast and Associates. And my series, the Taylor's Ark books, are about the only happily married couple in space, and they happen to be Jewish, by the way.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Nikki?
Hi there, I'm Nikki Woolfolk. I'm an author and a chocolatier. With my books, I usually write anything with a mystery slant. So even though I have an alternate history, usually steampunk or gaslamp fantasy, I'll always have some sort of dead body and somebody's got to find the clues and solve that murder. And also I do nonfiction as well, as far as the craft of writing, food science and other different, hobbies and interests of mine.
And chocolate.
And chocolate. Always.
Always important. Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Wynick. During the day, I teach Dead British Guys, and by night, I write fantasy and historical fiction with strong female leads, and I love to kill my characters.
They probably deserve it.
Oh, yes.
The beatings will resume until morale improves. Yes. Okay. All right. I confess that I don't know a heck of a lot about Hanukkah. All I know, comes from the fact that we had neighbors who celebrated and made bagels, which was the primary interest to me. And I'm food. I will work for food. And also, Adam Sandler, 8 Crazy Nights. But I have heard that, Hanukkah is only a big deal in the U.S. So could you tell me a little bit about what it really is, and also, how it got to be so big in our country and no place else?
Well, it's actually, yeah, we're all starting. I mean, it can be big elsewhere. It's just not as major a holiday as it's sort of a minor fun holiday. It's just that in the United States in particular, it became Christmas sized because it happens around the same time. Now, it's not the same time, the same dates every year, because the Jewish calendar doesn't run on this, it runs on a lunar calendar versus a solar calendar. So it moves around, but it's always around the same time as Christmas. And so it just sort of became Christmas.
If you have kids, it's, yeah. When you have kids, you have to explain to them, well, okay, here's our holiday.
Mm-hmm.
It is, at least my friends in Israel, it's a fun holiday. It's a public holiday there. But yeah, it's very much in the scheme of things a minor holiday. Our major holiday is in the fall, in September and early October. This is just yet another one of our seemingly endless. Every time you turn around, there's another holiday. When you've got, almost 6,000 now years of history, you accumulate a lot. Talking about what Hanukkah is, I have to ask, do you want the mythological version or do you want the actual history?
Well, give us a sort of a short recap. Because there's a lot of stuff I want to ask you guys about, and I want to make sure we get to all of it.
Short recap. The rulers, if you will, of the area said, you have to behave like we do. The Jews said, no, we won't. They said, fine, we'll send our armies in. The Jews said, well, we're going to fight you. And the Jews actually won. That's a short version. The 8 days of Hanukkah come about because at the time we worshipped at the temple, there was an eternal light that is always on. And it required a certain type of sanctified oil. The soldiers had come in and destroyed the temple, had ruined all the oil. They had to send somebody off to get the oil. There was only a little bit left. It was going to be taken 8 days round trip. The oil, that little bit of oil, lasted 8 days, allegedly.
A great miracle. A great miracle.
This is also why we celebrate with fried foods.
I don't see the connection. I don't.
Because of oil. It's
because of oil. It's all about oil. So it's all about donuts and fried latkes or potato pancakes. It's all fried.
It's partly a celebration of oil because of the miracle, but also you can make dishes with meat with oil instead of butter and to fry in. So hence oil and everyone just took off from that. You can fry foods in butter and it tastes really wonderful, but you can't have meat then.
Plus it's not oil in it. Yeah. Oil.
Oil's always good.
Hey, you should know you have 5 Jews here, so not only are you going to have 5 opinions, but we're going to be
might have 6
over each other. This is going to and we're going to do a lot of this.
Well, that's quite all right. I'm Italian. I do this too, And to me, hey, do not put butter in meat because I cannot eat butter. I have a Mediterranean stomach, So yeah, I mean, oil fried, good, as long as it's not butter.
The actual history of Hanukkah, the battles and the social upheaval that were happening at the time is actually fascinating. That would take another hour.
Okay, well, that's something you geek out about, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
So, Nikki and Rebecca, I understand that your upbringing is a little bit different on this. So, what did Hanukkah mean to you guys growing up? And obviously, I want to know what it meant to you all, Jody, JD, and Laura Anne. But I know that you have a slightly different take on all of this.
For me, growing up in California, we were kind of raised with more of my parents were more agnostic, or if they did have their belief system, it really wasn't something that I participated in. So I was introduced to Buddhism as a kid. So that's a different offshoot. But I think the first time that I'd read about Jewish people, I'd heard about history in school, but I remember that I was in first grade and our teacher, and I remember her having this little cooking stove inside the classroom, and she's like, I'm going to make something special for you all. This is what we eat on my holiday. And I was like, what holiday allows you to have hash browns? This is the best holiday ever. And I never, ever forgot that. It was like, lady, I don't know what this reason is for, but I am here for the little hash browns that taste better than any hash brown I've ever had. And so as I got older, it was like, oh, it's not hash brown, not like that. And it's a bigger idea. It's a bigger belief system than just like, we all gather around and have oil with hash browns. So for me, it's that level of introduction. And then years later, decades later, my son's late father prior was Jewish. So it definitely allowed me to dive in. And even though we didn't keep kosher, I had learned like the various prayers, the different customs, and we used to joke around that, you know, I made a nice kugel on the Shabbos better than anybody else. So, yeah, it was great.
You can't beat a nice kugel.
No, can't. Rebecca?
Well, I'm kosher Rican, so
I
we
love
were
that.
very
I love
confused.
that.
Love that phrase.
The main deciding religion was poverty, so we didn't have Christmas or Hanukkah. We did have the food though. Like I know how to make latkes and matzo ball soup and matzo brie, but Passover was something that I saw from the outside. Hanukkah was something I saw on the outside. My first Passover was 2 years ago because a friend had pity on me and she's like, how can you be a Jew and never do Passover? It's like, and my mom grew up in a kibbutz in Israel, but in upstate New York, where my neighborhood is all us mixed mutts. My cousins are Ricanese, Puerto Rican Chinese. The neighbors are Puerto Rican Chinese. We've got African American, and then my Puerto Rican Jewish family. So it was the holiday that everybody else got to celebrate, and the holidays that we envied for having the stuff that you come back to school with, that we never had anything new. We never had anything to show. So it was just kind of the outsider going, I'm Jew light, let me in. I know what a latke is.
Have the celebrations changed now that you're an adult and in charge of your life?
Oh, I celebrate everything.
Good.
My daughter must have been about 4 or 5. She's like, wait a minute. So we've got Christian and Jewish, so we could have both. So we get the 8 days of Hanukkah, especially if they don't overlap, and then we get Christmas. But you know, the long line of poverty is still there, and I'm like, no. We got to pick one. But we do the Jewish prayers. We do. Sometimes I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, can you say this? Because I'm reading the candle box on the back of the box, and I'm trying to have the chech there, right? Have it right. It's so sad.
No, it was really good. You did a good. That was a good.
I need the holidays for dummies because you were raised in poverty. And then your family joined a cult, so then you celebrated nothing. And then, I was always confused. But I think that's why I love the holidays now. Yeah. And since you don't know how to do it, we kind of mix stuff up.
Yeah, you can't.
That's a grand old tradition.
Yeah, I think that's a very American thing, too, to have that
I did not really, growing up for us, Hanukkah was, my family was, I like to say we weren't so much practicing Jews as forgetting to practice Jews. But for us, Hanukkah was a very close-knit, quiet family thing. We didn't get a lot of presents. It wasn't about that. It was the history. It was gathering together. It was learning how to cook the meals. Very much about the food. I can't believe I can't have latkes this year. Oh, my God.
My heart goes out.
Damn you, doctor. Yeah. But we got small presents. We got small things. Maybe the very expensive bottle of shampoo that we normally wouldn't be able to afford, kind of thing. My dad was in and out of work most of my young life. But Hanukkah was a festival of lights at a time when it was getting dark. And so we got to put up our white lights, these nice, plain, simple lights, before anybody else, against the dark. And that was part of a really big thing for us.
Yeah. I mean, probably my favorite Hanukkah story was as I was older, when I was married and I had kids, and we went to Israel. And I bought what are called dreidels, and they're spinning tops, and it's a really common little game that you can play, and they're just spinning tops. And they have 4.
It's gambling.
It's essentially gambling, but you can do it with like you do it with like these chocolate candies that are wrapped like gold coins. They're called gel.
That's my favorite.
That's right, exactly. So all right, so there's a Hebrew letter on each side. Okay, so and it means something like to the gambling game. But what it stands for is Nes Gadol Hayom Sham. And that means a great miracle happened there, which means in Jerusalem, because that's where the second temple was that was desecrated, and that's where the whole light thing the whole light show that Laura Anne just told you about happened. But only in Israel, you get dreidels that say Nes Gadol Hayom Po, which means a great miracle happened here. So, because you're there in Jerusalem. So I went and I was there and at the time, so I went to get dreidels that had the different letter, the pei instead of the shin. And I got them, and then I got some ones in Jerusalem. I want to make this very clear. I was standing in Jerusalem, and I got these ones.
Why were you in Jerusalem?
We were just visiting, and I spun them, and they were like electronic, and they played music, and they lit up, and they made all these great things. And the music was Santa Claus is coming to town. And this is, I swear to God, this is what happened. And I just couldn't believe it. And I wanted to bring them home to show people, but I played them so many times, I wore them out. And so I never got them home. So that is actually what happened. And I think what happened is they were like, made in China somewhere, and they put holiday music on it, and they didn't know the holiday. So my dreidels that I bought in Israel sang Hanukkah.
Oh, we were the only Jewish family in a very small 7 streets by 2, almost entirely Polish Catholic neighborhood when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. And everybody had tinsel and Christmas lights and Santas and things in the front yard. And we had a lighted menorah taped to the front window. And every day, you turned down the bulb so that it would light up, right. a fresh one, and with the shamash in the middle. That was
we should show them so they understand what it looks like, right?
Because the menorah has
everybody presents.
So the tall one is the shamash, is the helper candle, and then the other one.
Does the helper candle light the others?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, there's a very particular order you have to do it in. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So actually, this is
the one you light with, and you start from the right.
Yeah.
Because
without this is a menorah. Mm-hmm. Just like this, with
we lost you.
So
it's a Hanukkah.
It's just a menorah. Yeah, but with this, it becomes a Hanukkah or Hanukkah.
Oh, okay.
So when you get the extra little arm,
mm-hmm.
it becomes just for Hanukkah.
Ah, okay.
And your menorah is generally you can get one when you're a kid, which I think a lot of us did. You express your individuality. Menorahs are wildly different. There are, whatever your geekdom is, you can find a menorah that will reflect that. There are Star Trek menorahs that are actually brilliant. There are, of course, sea menorahs.
What does yours have? Jody, what did you say yours has?
Mine has a zodiac on it. At the time that I received this, I was into casting horoscopes for people. And,
yes, it does.
And my mom found this at, I think, one of the sisterhood shops.
Oh, that's brilliant. No, I didn't. When you first showed us that menorah, I didn't realize that the zodiacal symbols were in the circle.
And this one is actually hammered out from nails. Wow. Because I had an interest in metalworking when I was younger. And I saw this and fell in love with it. But yeah, it's iron nails soldered together.
Oh, how
very
cool!
Personalized, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always have to borrow my kids' menorahs because the grandmother bought them for them. Skip me.
Did you
go get yourself one? Go get yourself one.
I do have one, but right now I'm still looking for it, and I've already said, like, in this basement, if I find it, when I find it, I will sob. I bought it when I got married many years ago, and it was a gift to both myself and my husband at the time. And it was made out of not brass, but it was basically like a beautiful sculpture, and it looked like a tree. So everything had, you know, its branches, and the base of it was beautiful. The roots were pretty much squiggly, and then you could see like the etching of, I think it was like 300 out of 1,500 pieces. So as far as what was made, and
wow.
the husband was a potter, so he was an artist. So it made sense to have something like that.
Oh yeah,
that's beautiful. Yeah, but Laura Anne's right. You can find a Hanukkah that's just fun and total fandom, or you can find them like Nikki's that are just beautiful works of art that you don't want to get wax all over.
I did.
Well, I mean, like, the one I showed.
Boiling water will take care of that.
I know, but
I don't want to talk about how many layers of wax there is on this one.
Yeah, I know this one's filthy, but I mean, it's all available to you, and like you can find all sorts of goofy things. And you know, for fandom, when we were growing up, much like Laura Anne was saying, we didn't get big presents, but Star Wars was huge, right? Star Wars was just coming out at the time. And so I think every night my brother got one action figure, like the original ones that came, the Star Wars action figures that came in the little bubble wrap, you know, so he'd get one Han Solo, one Luke, like one R2-D2, you know, and in fact, I own them now and they're downstairs in like the original Star Wars case he must have gotten. So I still have them, like the Yoda with the like little snake around his neck. So yeah, we like have them, and those were all Hanukkah presents. That was what he got, but they were like $8 at the time. Like these were not like collector's items. So you know, my parents could like get him 8 of those, and that was Hanukkah. You know,
the biggest Hanukkah present I ever got was on the 8th night, because my family, it was the big present was on the last night.
Yeah, ours too.
On the last night, I got a puppy.
Oh, that's a big present.
Yeah,
not this puppy though.
No, this puppy I got for myself for my birthday, actually.
Oh, a puppy.
Yeah, I had the puppy on the screen before.
Yes,
yeah.
A puppy is a good present. I will agree. A lot of work, but a good present. So, you know, talking about the Star Wars action figures, and you know, the menorah and the Hanukkah, the Hanukkah. That, you know, that brings the subject of this panel. You know, you all have fandoms. You know, you all have academic interest. You all have things that you research and enjoy for yourself. How have you integrated that stuff into your celebrations of Hanukkah? You know, does your brother still bring out those action figures?
Well, I own them now, so no, but you know, my brother is a rabbi, and he's the biggest geek there is. He is a massive Spider-Man geek. He has more bobbleheads than anybody I know. No, I know one author who has way more, but he has all the Spider-Man, all the Avengers, you know, everything. He has done huge research on the Jewish influence into comic books, because there's a massive Jewish influence into like the original, like Superman, the original Supermans, and the Fantastic Four. Ben Grimm is a Jewish character. He's actually sort of an interpretation of the Jewish golem, literally being a creature of stone. He talks about his bar mitzvah. You know, there's Yiddish thrown in all over the place in Spider-Man. You know, he's done all that. So I mean, it's fun to see those kind of overlaps in between Judaism and fandom, and it's, you know, it's not always obvious, but if you're looking for them, they're all over the place. They're really there.
Yeah. Yeah, we're hoping to get your brother on the Comics Lair one of these days.
Oh,
Nancy has seen his presentation.
He's the expert. He really is. So, like, even in the DC comics, you know, when the big heads are in the sky, like they're the guardians, right? That is David Ben-Gurion. So, I mean, the first Prime Minister of Israel. It really is. And so, you know, there's just all these places where if you're looking for it in comics, there's a huge Jewish influence. So there's fandom everywhere.
But I mean, you've got your family also goes to cons and does things. So do you integrate that into your personal celebrations of Hanukkah, or?
Well, I keep my cons, like the cons are mine, so nobody else can have them. But I put, a lot of Jewish characters into my own books. So like The Devil's Been Busy is set in John Hartness's Monster Hunter world, where Bubba is the Bubba the Monster Hunter. And I came to him and I said, and all the Monster Hunters are big men with big guns, and Bubba's got a Desert Eagle, I said to him, I want to do a really different kind of Monster Hunter. And he was like, if you know John, he was like, okay, go for it, whatever. So he said, send me your proposal. So instead I wrote him the first novella and I sent it to him, and he just was like totally taken aback, because I wrote a Jewish mom with 3 kids who lives in, Shaker Heights, Ohio. But because it was set in his world, she had to work for the Holy Roman Catholic Church. And like, that was just going to be the way it was. And so she's got a rabbi for, for a mentor basically, and she has to go out and kill the bad guys. And she says to him, like, Rabbi, do you mind that, I work for the church? And he says, well, we're all batting for the same team. It's okay. Mm-hmm. So, I incorporate that Judaism, and I think you see it pretty much everywhere. You might not see Hanukkah, but you will see that. And I did actually write a Passover story in this book, which is called Seder in Space and Other Tales, and which I self-published. It's on Amazon. And so I did actually write a very fun Seder story, which is a Passover story.
Cool. Jody, I mean, your situation kind of defines geek in so many ways. You have been around science fiction, fantasy most of your adult life. I know. I'm not sure about your childhood. You're married to somebody who's been involved with Dungeons and Dragons from the beginning, and you both play a massive role in DragonCon. How do all the things you do vanish? Infuse your celebrations of Hanukkah and winter holidays in general?
I think one of the things about fandom that I like is the inclusive nature of it. So if we like part of somebody else's celebration, we generally incorporate it, and it's appreciation. Mm-hmm. I would say, we're not trying to pretend to be somebody else, but we say that is too cool not to play with, or to incorporate, or to show respect for. Mm-hmm. So it's quite possible that things have crept into family celebrations over the years. I mean, we're not all the way up to May the Force be with you, but there certainly has been, a fair bit of this in our lives. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It was a surprise to my parents. I started watching Star Trek when I was 9. Mm-hmm. And I'm old enough that it was on the air for the first time when I started watching it. Mm-hmm. So it was a revelation to my parents, and I think a source of quiet joy to them, that not only were 3 of the bridge crew Jewish, mm-hmm. but so were all of the Vulcans.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
It's too perfect, yes.
Yeah, it almost is.
Yes.
So, there's the American Jewish Theater in Chicago, and they have around the walls photographs of Jewish actors and actresses, producers, writers, and some people that you would not suspect by looking at them. I mean, most people would never look at William Shatner and think he was Jewish, but he is. Mm-hmm. And the list of people who have been in entertainment and changed their names for lots of reasons, but part of it is to assimilate. But their real names are unmistakably of Jewish origin. So I can understand that there is occasional backlash for that, but we've been able to step back and make things universal, but at the same time incorporating it, saying, you know, we're still out here, and we're not monsters. We're positive influences. We embrace you. Hope that you will embrace us. And I think that's the only way forward to the future. I call myself a cautious optimist, and I want to see if people wish to celebrate, I am all for it. So love to tell you about our culture, love to tell you about our celebrations, want to hear about yours as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Laura Anne, how do you bring your geekdoms into your celebrations?
For me, it's interesting. My family, my oldest sister is an observant Jew. I'm a forgetting to practice Jew, and my middle sister is a Jubu, Buddhist
Jewish
Jew.
Buddhist Jewish.
Yes. Soon to be a Buddhist monk. And it kind of, the family expands, as Jody was saying. We assimilate everything. You will be assimilated. We will be assimilated. For me, yes, we will feed you. For me, a lot of it was bringing in a lot of the fandom solstice awareness, for lack of a better word. In December, the coming of the dark, the return of the light, all of these things, which if you grow up in fandom, you inevitably start running with some pagans. And I picked up a lot of that because it is all about, all of these holidays are, at least in this hemisphere, about the fact that we are stuck in really long, cold nights and very short, at least here in Seattle, rainy days. And you need comfort. You need a reassurance that the light will return. So one of the things that we used to do when I was in college is reading the bit from, I'm blanking on the title now because I always do that. The Susan Cooper books.
Oh, The Dark is Rising.
The Dark is Rising. We read that poem because it's a reminder. Even though it's a very Christian book, it also ties into the rest of that. My other fandom that I bring into it is my wine fandom, for lack of a better word. I've worked in the wine industry for a long time. I love telling people that Judaism has a very specific prayer for thank you, God, for giving us wine that we say every week.
I can get behind that.
That's what everybody says. Yes, they can respect that. But it is about family. It's about gathering. It's about giving thanks. And I always am very aware of the fact that these are gifts that have been given to us. And we tend to really geek out about that aspect of it, the food and the wine and the gifts of the table, for lack of a better term.
Gifts of the table are very important, and having, as somebody who grew up, Irish Italian, emphasis on the Italian, yeah, we feed the world too, and that's holidays, that's celebration. Hopefully we do not feed them my mother's cooking. She was famous for imploding a turkey in an autoclave. So yeah, you did not eat my mother's food. Great mother, awful cook. But anyway, Nikki, that is not your problem. You are a great cook, and I hear about your gumbo, and I go, why aren't you living closer so you can give me a care package?
But, I would love to.
Yeah, thank you. I may take you up on that when we can travel again. But in the meantime, your son is half Jewish. You've gotten involved in Jewish culture as a result. How do you bring all the things that you're involved in, that you geek out about, how do you bring that to the Hanukkah celebration?
I don't celebrate Hanukkah like I used to. I wish I did. I think once the passing of his father, that became kind of a bittersweet kind of situation. But I still talk it through with my son, and I'm still holding out for my menorah. I know this is so bad, but like, I miss that menorah. I moved so many times. I know it's around. I feel like I'm cheating if I use another menorah. Like, I have to use, I know that sounds so wrong, but for me, obviously I'm coming in from the outside looking in, and at the time when I finally got to celebrate Hanukkah, I like all the words. But when we started celebrating, I remember it was my son's first Hanukkah, and he was only a few months old. And I remember we were saying the prayers. His father at the time was kind of walking me through. We're saying the prayers, and as we lit one of the candles, my son started to laugh. It was his first laugh. And like, we didn't have presents, we didn't have anything else. And that was enough for me. I'm like, is this how you do it? Because this is like the bestest gift ever.
That is the best present.
Yes. Yeah. And I still, like, obviously I still remember, I mean, he's 14, he's a string bean, he's not short and, chubby anymore, but I thought about it from that perspective, as far as not so much as, oh, it's a Jewish Christmas or it's all these gifts, but instead really looking at the aspect of hope, the promise of another day coming, very symbolic. I think mainly because of my background in writing, but also as a Black person, where storytelling is a really big deal. Oral history is a huge deal. So there, for me, I could totally get behind that, and I understood that whether we were going with the mythos or we're going with the historic, it meant something not only to my son's father, but it also meant something to me, because I understood more that it's such a broad, but at the same time, a very, it's something that it can be understood by others, but at the same time, within the culture, within the Jewish culture, there is that respect and that regard that I have. So I came from it from that, aspect.
Okay, great. Rebecca, okay, you who celebrate all the holidays, how do you, bring your, the things you geek out about into Hanukkah now?
Gotta make stuff up, because how many days can you eat latkes? 2 days. 2 days.
Now, wait a minute.
So
You can increase your tolerance.
we match holidays with movies, and we do marathons.
Okay.
We did Harry Potter holiday, and because the Harry Potter cookbook came out, everything, including butterbeer. We did as much as we could recreate that was in the meal. Holidays are about family. I'm from New York, so we did the Godfather marathon with Italian food, because how many days can you do latkes? My family loves films. We love sci-fi. I'm tired of making, after 2 days, I'm done with latkes. But we try to find the geek in all the holidays. If you notice, Luke Skywalker's saber, there's lots of lightsabers. His is blue. Blue overcomes.
Yes.
So there's a Hanukkah win there. We're talking about maybe doing a Shaun of the Dead holiday season.
Oh my gosh.
Where you go from pub to pub, and it's so, yeah, this is what happens when you don't celebrate authentically. You got to make the rules up.
I like that idea. I mean, some of the celebrations that are authentic are just, I mean, I remember going to Catholic school and being told that Christmas was a holy day and you're supposed to basically make life miserable with fasting and so forth, and then wake up at the crack of dawn, and I never woke up early, ever. To go to Mass and, beat your knees against something hard. And, but my mother was Italian, and okay, she couldn't cook, but she sure as hell knew how to use the telephone and my father's money. And, you have their idea of fasting with the Italians is 7 fishes. And as long as mother didn't cook any of them, we're good. So I'm a big believer in changing things and making things up and making them special. And, one of the things is that Yeah, this is a Hanukkah that we have not seen in our lifetimes. It's, you've all talked about how it's gathering together, whether it's being with your family and cooking and whatever, or even, watching your son laugh for the first time. This is, it's going to be hard to do all that stuff this year. So how are you going to use all the things you do, making things up, and we all make them up, and we all create things, what you gonna do this year? I mean, Rebecca, how you gonna do a Shaun of the Dead, or are you gonna do something different that would be more interior, something that could be done without going out of the house? Or
you have to remember that, I'm sorry.
Well, it's just recently was Thanksgiving, and they had taken the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special off the air.
Mm-hmm.
We found that through Zoom and through Prime, using
Amazon Prime,
videos,
yeah.
I was able to actually watch together with my friends a movie simultaneously and Zoom simultaneously, and that's how we gathered. So that's what we're thinking for all the family down in West Palm Beach and Boca, because it's the law. I swear it's somewhere in the Testament. If you're from New York, you must migrate to Boca or West Palm, depending on your income, and you must go there because that's where all the Jewish delis are. And that is the promise.
Next year in Florida, next year in the Holy Land. Yeah.
There's sand there. I'm sure there's a camel somewhere. It's all good. But that's how we plan to do it. We're going to be zooming. I wish I had stock.
Oh, yeah.
You have to remember that when the current unpleasantness began, that we were just going into Passover,
mm-hmm.
which is the major family gathering kind of.
That's the big one.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's basically the Jewish Thanksgiving mm-hmm. in a lot of ways. You will be there, or have a note from the coroner.
That's right.
My family did a Zoom Seder. We had, I think, 14 screens, 14 windows up on the screen. We did the reading of the Seder.
Oh.
My sister had downloaded a PDF and sent it to everybody, so we were all on the same Haggadah. So we've had a year's worth of training for this.
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving was nothing. We've done this before. Matter of fact, there's a wonderful article that was written, I think it may have been written by a rabbi, I'm not sure, talking about all the ways that we have learned how to deal with our high holy days, both in September and Pesach and all that. Offering it to our Gentile friends, saying this is how you celebrate together when you can't be together. This is how you make it seem right and proper, if not normal. And that's what we're going to do. You have the same traditions, or at least my family, same traditions. In my family, Hanukkah really is for the kids, and if you don't have kids, you don't really celebrate it that much. But friends and I are thinking about, we'll make latkes in our own home and cook together.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be through a screen, but we're still going to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Technology, one of the things about Judaism is it's eminently pragmatic. You're not supposed to use technology or do any work on Sabbath. A lot of the rabbis have basically been saying, Zoom's not technology. Zoom isn't work. It's all right. Because the first thing is survival
mm-hmm.
and celebration and joy. And everything else can get put aside as long as you can bring the joy.
Mm-hmm. Joy is essential to survival. Mm-hmm. I've always believed. If you don't have joy in your life, it's hard to get up in the morning, and it's hard to fight injustice and all the things that we need and fight for a better world, which we all have a responsibility as humans to do. So joy. I'm a big believer in that. Nikki, what about you? What are you planning to do to make this Hanukkah special for your son?
Pretty much because we don't have really many ties with the rest of his late father's family. So it's pretty much just me. And I'm like, are we sure we want, I'm a goy. Like, who am I to do the prayers? I have no idea. but I still, even to this day, I will talk my son through them. But I think he kind of, you know, zones out once the latkes come, and I can understand that. Like, everything stops. He can't hear you. He's just shoving food in his face.
Is it sour cream? Do you serve them with sour cream or applesauce? This is a war.
He doesn't like sour cream, but I'll have it with sour cream. I'll have it with applesauce. But I usually don't fry anything. And it's one of the few times every once in a while I'll get my courage and I'll fry it. I know, a cook that doesn't do frying, it's a thing for me. But yeah. So it's one of those things where we're living in the middle of Connecticut. So it's, I know that a couple of towns from us, there is more of a Jewish community there, and I've been invited to, you know, celebrate, but because of the way that, you know, things are right now, it's more of a Zoom type of, you know, planning of things, which is fine, because it's one of those aspects like Laura Anne was talking about, where you can do a PDF, you can do the blessings, you can go through the various prayers. And even if you're not side by side, you're still having that interaction, and it's not less. It doesn't have to be less. It's one of those things where, for me at least, I believe that friendships are not where they only matter if you can see that person in real life, face to face. You know, there are friendships and people that are your self-made family that may not be in your same state or right next to you, but they are still, you know, someone or a group of people that mean the most. And especially with fandom, it's like getting together with your geekiness and really holding that true while getting through, you know, some rough times, some dark times.
Jody, what are you planning to do to, you know, use your geekdoms and things to make this Hanukkah special for you and your loved ones?
This one's going to be a little rough. My father passed away about 2 months ago. And
I'm so sorry.
Normally at Hanukkah, at Thanksgiving, which we would ordinarily have been at my aunt's house for anywhere between 40 and 80 people, and 3 turkeys and 2 turkey breasts and 8 pounds of brisket, because that's the way we roll, and all of the side dishes that people normally bring, desserts, pies, all sorts of things. This year, just for safety's sake, my aunt said we can't. We can't, and we didn't. But we corresponded with each other. But we had, you know, tiny celebrations. We're all scattered to the 4 winds. Thank God for Zoom. It's wonderful. But normally at Thanksgiving, I would be distributing. I would write the names of all the children in the family on one set of slips of paper, and the names of each pair of adults or individual adult, depending, you know, like my mom doesn't have a partner. Then I would go up to each person and have them select the name of a child and the name of a couple. And we would have a gift exchange that way, because it runs into money when you have a family the size of mine.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to sort of, with main strength, bring that custom into a new light, because my dad was always, you know, I want this many children slips, and what are we going to do for this one? And I've got extra presents for everybody. So we're going to have to kind of take his place. So, you know, we feel the absence, and we're going to try and make it a celebration anyway. Hanukkah is about family, about survival, about a miracle. You know, because the oil that was supposed to last one day lasted 8, and that was a beautiful thing. It's about the return of the light, absolutely. It's not an accident that it's in this time where the light dies down to the shortest day of the year, and people's moods are bleak, but the light will return, and we can hang on until then, and things will get better.
And so that's the thing. We will hang on till then.
Mm-hmm.
JD, you know, how are you going to basically bring the light and use your geekdoms to bring the light this year?
Well, first of all, Jody, that was beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. And it's actually more than that. It's like a whole rededication of the Second Temple. That's really what was happening. It wasn't just the oil. The oil was part of the temple, the Second Temple that had been destroyed. And so it was sort of, you know, basically the Jews were kicking out the Greeks, Syrians, Assyrians. The borders were slippery then. So it was about, sort of taking back their Judaism and their right to worship. The thing for me, much like Jody, is we haven't had death, but my daughter isn't home. She's actually in Israel, and she made what's called made Aliyah. She went to live there. So it's a little tricky this year because they're a good 6 hours ahead. So by the time you're ready to like eat dinner or something, she's like, it's midnight, folks. So it's hard. I miss her, and I miss having her home at holiday times. Thanksgiving was tricky for us, but we still managed to get a Zoom together, and she stayed up, and she took part of it. So I guess we'll do the same as we light the menorah, at least a couple nights. And I only have one kid left at home, so she's gone, and the oldest is gone. So, we're down a little bit on the children, and probably I'll continue to do what I've already started doing, which is giving tzedakah, which means giving to charity. So I'll probably give to some children's charities. I'll buy gifts for other kids that I don't know. That's what I'll do, because I don't have any kids, really, just the one, and she gets everything she needs anyway, and she needs nothing. So
that may not be her view of the thing.
Well, but she'll get something. Of course she will. But in lieu of having a big thing here, I'll probably give to the Cleveland Food Bank, and do other things like that, because that is really more in the spirit of the holiday. As far as how that plays into geekdom or fandom, no, I can't really say it does. It does, except it's just a core value.
Mm-hmm. Feeding the world.
Yeah, it's just a core value. So, that's what I'll continue to do. And I do think that sort of what Laura Anne was saying, one of the things that has happened with the current situation is that a lot of synagogues have virtual, you can literally tune in to their services now. Mm-hmm. And Nikki, this might be something for you if you're interested. I'll get some information to you. So like my brother's synagogue, their services are online all the time, every Friday night, every Saturday morning, every holiday. So it's actually brought people together in ways that have never been before. People who grew up in that synagogue, who moved all the way, he's in Massachusetts, and they went, they moved to California, can rejoin the synagogue and sort of be with their parents, and there's chats going on like, hey mom, Shabbat Shalom, love you, glad to see you, and you can see, oh my God, it's Michelle. We haven't talked to Shelley since she was 13. And you can see that going on in the chats because the synagogues are all online. Mm-hmm. So in a way, it's actually brought people together like people who were homebound and couldn't get to synagogue, people who were across the country and couldn't get to their old home synagogues that they grew up in. It's really interesting how that has happened. And I don't think that's going to go back. I think that those online streaming services are probably going to continue.
They've been doing it for a while for the high holy days for people who couldn't get there. So right. Yeah, I think
now it's commonplace.
It's wonderful when you're watching a rabbi, and she might be, in this one particular case, she's playing guitar, and she goes, just so you know, I am wearing pants. I mean,
right. Anything can happen. Yeah.
So we're geeking out on the technology, and that's going to infuse the entire holiday. Well, unfortunately,
there's also one thing I just want to say. There is one thing about this holiday that is very much like fandom.
Okay.
Which is, we talked a little bit about the history of it. What we didn't mention is that there was a lot of differing opinions as to how this should be handled. Should we actually just go along with it, dress like them? What does it matter? No, we have to dress like ourselves. A lot of squabbling among the different people saying, no, this is the one way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Canon.
Anybody who has been in fandom knows that happens in pretty much every fandom.
Yeah.
Including, Jewish fandom.
And there's a superhero. I mean, really, Judah Maccabee was the superhero of the Maccabees.
And his manly sons, yes.
Well, his actual name, Judah Maccabee, his actual name is Judah the Hammer. So, he's the Avenger of Hanukkah.
Yes. Well, cool. This could go on much further, but we do have to, keep it sort of kind of in an hour. So I'm going to ask you all to, tell folks where they can find you on the web and where they can find your books. And if you have a new release you want to pimp, we're good with that. So I'll start with you, JD.
So my website and my blog site is slipperywords.com. That's probably the best place to find me, slipperywords.com. And you can certainly find me on both Facebook and Twitter at JD Blackrose.
Okay, great. Rebecca? You're
muted.
You can find me at RebeccaWynick.com.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is also Rebecca Wynick. The most recent release was a short story in Warriors, Witches, and Wise Women.
I'm in that.
So
some of you are in that. And Amber Witch was the book that came out a couple of years ago. There's more to come, but it's slow in the pipe.
Hey, everybody's been slow. Okay. Nikki?
You can find me at NikkiWoolfolk.com. You can also find my chocolates at Belmont Chocolates. I'm pretty much on Facebook and Instagram. Either way, I never shut up. I'm always talking about my son on Facebook. So I do, stuff Menashe says. And if you're lucky, you also get conversations that I have with my husband, Nerd, which is the nickname that I give everybody. So that one's fun. And you can find my books on Amazon. And yeah.
Okay, great. Laura Anne.
I made it simple. You can find me at lauraannegilman.net. On social media, I'm either Laura Anne Gilman or LA Gilman. Twitter, it's LA Gilman. Facebook, it's Laura Anne Gilman. On Instagram, it's Laura Anne Gilman. On Tumblr, I believe it's Laura Anne Gilman. I like keeping it simple. Like Nikki, I never shut up on social media. It's, I live alone. It's either that or talk to the dog and the cat. And at least on Twitter, I get a response. The most recent book just came out was The Complete Sylvan Investigations, which is about a half fawn, half human former cop turned PI and his partner, who is a seer in New York City. It's 4 novellas collected into an omnibus. And coming out in a couple of weeks, assuming the sky doesn't fall and we're all still here, is The Dance, or Not Your Aunt Carol's Nutcracker, which is a urban fantasy romance that I wrote on a bet.
I like that.
And I'm not organized, so I don't have covers to show, but if you go to my website, they're there.
Okay, cool. I've loved the Nutcracker ever since I saw Nureyev dance it.
Oh, well,
that was magic. It was really magic. Jody Lynn Nye. No, it's getting late here. Jody, wrap it up for us.
You can find me on Facebook. I haven't been evident much lately, and follow the adventures of my interstellar secret agents who are cats, and those will be back, I promise you. And I'm on Facebook as Jody Lynn Nye, 3 N's, 3 Y's, and Twitter, Jody Lynn Nye. Like Laura Anne said, keep it simple. My website, which is currently being renovated, we have the time, we have the leisure, by my webmaster, is jodylynnye.com. So stop by and take a look at things.
Great.
And the cats are awesome.
They are. They truly are.
The posts by the cats are amazing.
I do. And we saw one of them. One of them made a brief cameo appearance here.
That's Athena.
Yes.
She's the main spy.
Please thank her for it. Well, it's only fitting for a black cat, and you know my black cat approves. Thank you all for joining us here today. You're great guests as always, and thank you out there in the audience for joining us for this continual special event, Geek Hanukkah. If you like what you saw here today, please like, share, follow, and subscribe, and leave a review. But most importantly, however you choose to celebrate them, and whichever holidays you choose to celebrate, have a very happy holiday season and a very happy, healthy, and prosperous new year. Thank you.